Hi there, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to see more questions on vectors, and they are SPM formatted questions, paper 1. And before we continue, don't forget to subscribe my channel for more videos. Thank you. Okay, now let's start with question 1. For question 1, you are given a triangle PQR plus you are given the coordinates. Coordinate P, coordinate Q and coordinate R with unknown K and M. Okay, now plus you are given the resultant vector of PQ plus QR as 5i plus 3j. The question is you are asked to find the value of M and K. Now remember, whenever coordinates are given, then you can form position vector. So what is position vector? Position vector is a vector that originates from the origin. For example, the position vector of coordinate P will be vector OP. The same thing goes for coordinate Q. The position vector of coordinate Q will be OQ. So just remember, the position vector originates from the origin. Okay, so that is very important information or knowledge that you need to know. Okay, so based on the given coordinates, you can form vector OP, OQ and OR. So if you look at the first vector OP, how to get the vector? Just refer to the coordinate. So if coordinate P given as -3, -2, therefore the position vector of point P will be OP equals to -3i minus 2j. Just like that. Okay. Same thing for coordinate Q. The position vector of coordinate Q equals to OQ equals to -i plus 2j. And you do the same thing for coordinate R. Now, back to the question. You are asked to find the value of K and M. So, using the given information, I'm going to start with that. So, here you have PQ plus QR equals to 5i plus 3j. Now, remember, whenever the middle letter, they are the same, you can simplify and you get the resultant vector. Therefore, here PQ plus QR equals to PR. PQ plus QR equals to PR. Now, since we want to find the value of K and M, so I'm going to involve vector OR. Okay, so now I'm going to break the vector PR into two vectors. So start from, the first vector will start from P and the second vector will end up with letter R. So in the middle you have to put in the letter. Okay, so the best letter to put in will be letter O. So here remember, the middle letter have to be same in order to get the resultant vector. So PR, it can be written as PO plus OR. So now if you look back to the question, you have the information of OP. Therefore, easily you can find PO. PO equals to -OP. Okay, so PO equals to -OP. Therefore, you have PO as 3i plus 2j plus OR. Vector OR we have as Ki plus Mj. So change the OR as Ki plus Mj equals to 5i plus 3j. Now, on the left hand side, okay, gather the I vectors together. You cannot simplify. Therefore, you just factorize. Take out the vector I. In bracket, you will have 3 plus K. And for vector J, on the left hand side, you have 2J plus Mj. So take out the vector J. In bracket, you have 2 plus M. Now what you need to do now, you compare the I vector on the left hand side and I vector on the right hand side. Therefore, you will be comparing 3 plus ki and 5i. Okay, and you can cancel out the I vector and you'll get one equation. So that will be 3 plus k equals to 5. Solve this and you'll be able to get the answer. And do the same thing for vector j, which is written in black. So here compare the j vector, therefore you'll get another one more equation. 2 plus m equals to 3. Therefore m equals to 1. So this is how you can solve this question. Okay, now here you are given vector A, vector B. The question is find the value of P in each of the following cases. So here we have two cases. Okay, let's look at the first case. For the first case, you are given the resultant vector A plus B is parallel to x-axis. Okay, remember, whenever you have the word parallel, then you must form equation relating the vectors using a constant. The constant can be lambda or k. Okay, remember that. So before we can form the equation, here I'm going to find the resultant vector A plus B. Okay, so we have vector A, vector B given in terms of vector I and vector j. So you just substitute vector A and vector B, expand, okay, simplify. Therefore you have negative I plus 7j plus pj. So here the j vector you have 2, you can factorize. So in bracket you have 7 plus pj. So make sure you factorize it. Okay, so now you just have two terms, one with I vector, the other one with j vector. Okay, now it is mentioned here A plus B is parallel to x-axis. Now for x-axis, remember, if given x-axis, then you have the I vector and you do not have j vector. That means the j vector, the magnitude is 0. You don't have j vector. Okay, the I vector here, we do not know the magnitude, so I'm just going to use the unknown m. Therefore, here for x-axis, you may write it as mi plus 0j. Okay, so let's go back to the answer, continue with the answer. So here, if given vectors are parallel, then you need to form equation relating the vectors. Use the constant lambda or k. So here I'm going to use lambda. Okay, so now what you can do, you expand. So times in the lambda into the bracket. Okay, now since you have vector I and j on the right hand side and left hand side, now you may compare. So I'm going to compare vector j on the left hand side and right hand side. Okay, therefore I'll get 7 plus p equals to 0. Okay, and you can solve and find p for the first case. For the second case, given vector A is parallel to vector B, so same thing, you form the equation, use the constant lambda to form the equation. Okay, so substitute vector A and vector B times in the lambda. Okay, now here I change the form. I prefer to use column form actually, because it is more clean, more clearer to see the solution. Okay, compared to when you use vector I and j. So here, in order to find the value p, I'm just going to cross multiply. Okay, remember, here I've already change the I and j vector to column form. Okay, so in order to find the unknown p, I'm just going to cross multiply, neglect the lambda, cross multiply, and you will get the equation as this. Negative 3 in bracket p plus 1 equals to 2 times 6. Solve this, you will be able to find the value of p. So this is one of the technique that you may use. If you are not asked to find lambda, just find the unknown in the column bracket. So it is one of the easy way of doing it. Cross multiply and you will get the answer. Neglect the lambda. Okay. Question 3. You are given vector p, q and r. So here you can see vector r with unknown m and n. And the question is find the value of m and n, and also you are given another vector r which is in terms of vector p and q. Okay, so these are the two vectors given. So the first r in terms of vector a and b, the second r in terms of vector p and q. So here you can form the equation. Okay. Therefore, you have 4p minus 2q equals to ma plus in bracket m minus nb. Okay, now I cannot compare the right hand side with left hand side. Why? Because the vectors are not the same. So I cannot compare yet. So therefore, I need to find 4p plus 2q, change it to vectors in terms of a and b. Okay, so replace p as 3a plus 4b and q as 2a minus b. Expand this and simplify until you get 8a plus 18b. So now you can continue with the solution. So change the 4p plus 2q as 8a plus 18b equals to ma plus in bracket m minus nb. So now we have vector a and b on both sides. So we can compare. So the vector a written in red, when you compare or you form the equation here, 8a equals to ma. So cancel out the vector a, therefore you can get value of m. So do the same thing for vector b. Compare vector b and you will get m minus n equals to 18. Since we have the value of m, substitute, now simplify to get the value of n. Okay, question 4. Vectors are given in column form. Okay, here the two vectors are parallel and the magnitude of vector AB given as square root of 45. The question is, you are asked to find the value of A and B. Okay, now remember, whenever you have two unknowns, you need two informations in order to form two equations. Okay, since we have enough information, so we can form the equation. So using the first information given, the vectors are parallel. Remember, whenever you come across the word parallel, you can use lambda to form the equation relating the vectors. So here you can use the column form, vector AB equals to lambda 1 negative 2. The next thing you can do, you can cross multiply to get the equation. Okay, remember when you write using the lambda, but since here we do not need the value of lambda. Okay, therefore you can just neglect and cross multiply to get the equation. So b times 1, you'll get b equals to a times negative 2, negative 2a. So that will be the first equation. B equals to negative 2a will be the first equation. Okay, in order to get the second equation, we use the second information. So that will be the magnitude. So if you still remember, how do you find the magnitude? Okay, so if you said Pythagoras theorem, then you are correct. So we are going to use the Pythagoras theorem. So square root of a square plus b square equals to the magnitude. So the given magnitude here, square root of 45. So that will be the second equation. So here, in order to eliminate the square root, we can square both sides. Okay, square both sides, you can eliminate the square root. Therefore, left a square plus b square equals to 45. So that will be the second equation. Okay, now you have to solve the simultaneous equation. So I'm going to substitute equation 1 into equation 2. Okay, remember when you substitute, each time must put bracket. Without the bracket, you might get wrong answer, and definitely for this case, without the bracket you will get wrong answer. Okay, so here negative 2 in bracket square, you'll get 4. Okay, and a square, you get a square. So now simplify this. A square plus 4a square, you'll get 5a square equals to 45. Bring down the 5. Left a square equals to 9. Square root, you'll get a equals to plus minus 3. Now refer back to the question. Be careful. Here you are given extra information that a is greater than 0. Therefore the answer will be only one answer, a equals to 3. We just take the value which is greater than 0. Okay, if not given any condition, then you have to take both value. Both value will be acceptable. Okay, now find the b value now. So I'm going to use the first equation. So use the linear equation. Do not use the non-linear equation. Use the linear equation to substitute the a. So b equals to negative 2 in bracket. The value of a is 3. Simplify, you will get the b. So now you have the value for a and b. Okay, question 5. You are given a quadrilateral PQRS such that vector PS, SR and QR, these three vectors are given. Okay, so what do? You can label all these vectors in your diagram. So make sure whenever given information, you label your diagram. That will help you to get idea to solve the question. Okay, next. So the question here, now you have to find the value of m and n. You are given the resultant vector PQ as m plus 1 over 5y. Now, so this is the given information PQ. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find the resultant vector PQ of my own using the diagram. So in order to get the resultant vector PQ, I need to start from P and travel to point S. Therefore, PQ, the resultant vector PQ equals to PS plus SR plus RQ. Remember, you begin at point P and you must end up at point Q. So P is the initial point, Q will be the terminal point. Okay, now you have PS and SR, so you just substitute the given vectors into the equation. But here you are given QR, but what we want is RQ. Since we are moving in opposite direction of QR, therefore RQ will be negative NX. Okay, PS the same, SR the same. RQ we are moving in opposite direction of QR. Therefore, you change the sign as negative NX. So now you can expand. Okay, so the X vectors here you cannot simplify, so you just take out the X vector. So in bracket you will have m minus 1 minus n. Okay, now you can compare the resultant vector PQ given in the question and with the one you have found. So x vector compare with x vector. So if you look at the PQ given in the question, we do not have the x vector. Therefore, the coefficient of x vector here is 0. Therefore, we can write the equation as m minus 1 minus n equals to 0. Remember? Now again, PQ, the resultant from the resultant vector PQ that we obtain, the coefficient of x vector is m minus 1 minus n. Compare with the coefficient of x vector in the question. So for PQ given in the question, we don't have the x vector. Therefore, the coefficient is 0. That's why the equation written as m minus 1 minus n equals to 0. So rewrite it as m equals to n plus 1. That will be the first equation. For the second equation, you compare the y vectors. So n equals to m plus 1 over 5. Compare the n vector. Okay, you can cross multiply this. Rearrange m equals to 5n minus 1. So we have two equations. We can solve the simultaneous linear equation. So I'm going to use the substitution method. Therefore, I have 5n minus 1 equals to n plus 1. Okay, bring the n to the left hand side. So it becomes negative n, and the negative 1 from left to bring it to right hand side. So it becomes positive 1. Simplify this and you'll obtain the n value as 1 over 2. Next, you can choose one of the equation to substitute the n and find m value. So I'm going to choose the first equation. So m equals to n plus 1. So substitute the n value as 1 over 2. Simplify this, you'll get the m as 3 over 2. So that will be the answer for m and n. Question 6. The diagram shows a parallelogram PQRS and a straight line STQ. Given vector PQ equals to 12a, PS equals to 6b. Okay, now here you are given the information that ST equals to 2PQ. Now you can rewrite this equation in fraction form. Why you need to write in fraction form? Okay, you need to write in fraction form so that you can see the ratio between the vectors. This is very important. Okay, so now once you have the information, you can label your diagram. So PS as 6b, PQ as 12a, and you know the ratio of ST to TQ as 2 to 1. Put the ratio. Okay, this is very important to label the ratio. Okay, so let's start with the question. You are asked to express in terms of vector A and B of the vector SQ. So in order to find vector SQ, I'm going to start or travel from S to P and then from P to Q. Therefore, the equation can be written as SQ equals to SP plus PQ. Okay, SP I'll be moving in opposite direction of vector PS. Therefore, it will be negative 6b plus PQ is 12a. So plus 12a. Okay, this one you can rearrange it as 12a minus 6b. Okay, next question, you are asked to find PT. So here, in order to find PT, I'm going to travel from P to S and then from S to T. Now PS, no problem. The vector PS already been given as 6b. The problem now is to find ST. We do not have ST. Now, since we have the ratio, try to relate the vector that you are going to find and the vector that you have. So here the vector that I am going to find is ST. What I have is SQ. So I am going to relate ST and SQ with the ratio. So ST over SQ equals to, so ST is 2, SQ, the whole thing is 3. So the ratio between ST and SQ equals to 2 to 3. So this is very important lesson that you must know how to get the ratio. Remember how to relate? You relate the vectors that you are going to find and that you have. You are going to find in this case ST, you have SQ. So I'm going to relate these two vectors. Get the ratio of these two vectors. So here you can rewrite ST as 2 over 3 SQ. Okay, so now you can substitute PS as 6B plus ST as 2 over 3 SQ. SQ we have the vectors. Okay, so you just change SQ as negative 6B plus 12A. Expand this. Simplify the vectors, vector B and vector B. So 6B minus 4B, you'll get 2B plus 8A. So with that, we have completed question 6. With that, we have come to the end of the lesson. Thanks for watching and do subscribe for more videos.